Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Wentao Zhang, and today I will be talking about the possessives in the Spanish language. Now as we begin this lesson, I would like to take a minute to review the differences between an adjective and a pronoun, right? You might find this elementary, but still it's essential to this lesson. Now an adjective describes a noun, so when I say the car is blue, I am describing the car, right? Blue describes the car, describes the color. But the pronoun takes the place of a noun. So when I say, suppose my good friend Charlotte wrote Jane Eyre, I could also say that she wrote Jane Eyre, right? They're all interchangeable because she describes Charlotte, right? Now looking at the following sentence pairs, so we can look at these two following sentence pairs, right? And we can notice that one has an adjective while the other one has a pronoun. Now you might not be able to recognize right away since there are no conspicuous adjectives such as blue or she in here, right? But in the first one, my serves as the adjective, right? You might be wondering why my serves as the adjective. Well, I will get to that in a little bit. And the yours serves as the pronoun, right? So, why does this happen? Now, let's look at each sentence a bit more closely. My book is large, right? My is an adjective because it modifies or describes the noun books, right? It's not blue, it's not, shiny, it doesn't describe like color, right? It simply modifies the noun books, right? Furthermore, it is a possessive adjective because it tells who owns or possesses the book, right? It is my book. I own it, it is my possession, which is why it is the adjective. Or put more specifically, it is actually the possessive adjective, right? So let's write possessive adjective on here, okay? Now let's move on to the second sentence. Yours is smaller, right? When I'm saying yours is smaller, yours is acting like the pronoun because it replaces or takes the place of a noun. I am not saying your book is smaller or your book is smaller than mine. I am simply saying yours is smaller, right? In this case, the previous sentence tells us that yours is replacing the noun book, right? Instead of saying your book, it's yours, right? It is replacing the possessive pronoun, thus it is making it, or it is replacing the possessive adjective, it is replacing the noun, which makes it the possessive pronoun, right? The possessive pronoun, right? Because it is telling you who owns or possesses the noun it is replacing. Right, so far we have been talking about the differences between the possessive adjective and the possessive pronouns. So just as a reminder, here are the possessive adjectives really quickly. Right here. This is the possessive adjectives. So basically what I need you to know, what I need you to basically pay attention to are these two. Because you're talking about the familiar singular or the formal, right? Because Spanish has two forms. So when you're talking to a friend, you use the familiar, and when you're talking to someone formal, you use the formal, right? It's that simple. So I'm going to pause here for a second, and I'm going to let you all look at this for a second, and pause the video if you want, just to look at these. Alright, so now that the possessive adjectives are done, let's move on to the possessive pronouns, or the possessive pronouns. The possessive pronouns are usually used with a definite article. So, for example, when I use el mío, right? I don't say, I would usually say, it is mine, right? The book is mine, right? You don't just say mine, right? That doesn't make sense. So it has to have something that it modifies or something that it defines, right? So here are the possessive pronouns. Take a moment to look at these. Pause if you need to, right? Alright. Let's go back to the first page. Now let's translate a couple of sentences. Here I have 4 sentences, right? They are in this order. El mío es grande. El tuyo es pequeño. And so these two would serve as a couple of sentences, right? And these two would serve as another couple. So let's go ahead and translate our model sentences. So, mi libro es grande, right? I am saying. So what am I trying to say? Anyone who has passed Spanish 2 or Spanish 1 would be able to tell you that mi libro es grande means my book is large. right? Maybe you're talking about your bio textbook or something. I don't know. So you say, my book is large, right? Next, you have el tuyo es pequeño, right? Now, be careful, or be aware, more so, that el tuyo, right, means yours familiar, okay? As such, we write yours. We're going to add familiar right here, okay, because it's talking about you, is small. Okay, now let's move on to the second couple, or the second couplet, and we see here that the translation would come out to be, your car is green, right? And the your here would also be familiar, right? It's familiar because it's tu, right? Not su, as we see here. Tu is familiar, su is formal, right? And for the last sentence, we would translate it as, mine is red, right? El mío, as you see in the pronouns, el mío translates to mine, okay? Alright, so you say, mine, right, is red. Now, everything we have done thus far has been in the informal tense, okay? Because as we have seen here, I have written familiar for both the second sentence and the third sentence, right? So in order to change to the formal, we gotta tweak things a bit, right? The first one stays the same, since there are no difference between the formal and the familiar, right? So this one, you can just say, this transfers over, right? It just comes over. So does this one, right? And disregard the X. I didn't mean to draw that on there, so let's do that. And here we have 2 and 3. Now 2 and 3 requires a little bit of change because, so let's focus on number 2 first. In number 2, you said el tuyo es pequeño. Now el tuyo is familiar. Now we want to make it formal, right? So what do? Instead of using el tuyo, we now use el suyo. So now you say el suyo. Right, so, sorry. Instead, for the formal, for the translation, or for the Spanish, you would first have to say el suyo es pequeño. Right? And so the translation, the English translation, would be yours, formal, is small, right? And you're still talking about the book, right? Now next, let's take a look at number 3. Now number 3 is a possessive adjective, so we put away the pronouns list, right? And instead we use the possessive adjective list, right? Now number 3 says, your car is green. Now let's write the Spanish for that first. So we're trying to say in the formal tense, we're going to use su, right? Because instead of using tu, we use su, right? Su carro es verde. Right? And so how would you translate that? You would now translate to your formal, right? Because now it's su. Car is green. Now you might find that silly since there is really no purpose for doing that in Spanish, but or in English, sorry, but in Spanish, you know, you gotta differentiate between the informal or the formal tense because you might be inadvertently punished for not saying something in the formal tense. That's basically it for today. So this is, once again, my name is Wentao Zane, and I am teaching you the possessives in the Spanish language. Thank you for watching.